Landon Donovan is one of the greatest American soccer stars the world has seen. The highest scoring male American player in World Cup history, he continues to be a role model for millions, and he's with me now. You obviously achieved incredible things in your field and have been very open about the mental health challenges you faced along the way. For our viewers who might not know, give us a little recap or a run through of what your life as a mental health activist has been like.
Sure. Well, I don't think we have enough time to go through all of it, but I come from a family that has mental health. I don't even want to use the word issues, but has mental health things going on in their lives. So I've always been more isolated, more alone, more happy to be independent. But in retrospect, looking back on my early years of life, I realized that a lot of that was depression. And so through a lot of therapy, a lot of help from friends and family, I've developed self-awareness around it, which is, I think, probably the most vital thing. And then had a lot of loving people to help me and support me. So a lot of people think of athletes or celebrities or people in the public eye as having these easy, simple lives, but we're all human beings, right? So we all deal with difficult things, and athletes are not immune.
I want to talk a little bit about that because I think it's really interesting how you talk about the perception of being a public figure and how your life seems perfect. What made you decide to come forward and talk about your mental health struggles, issues, for lack of a better term?
I have a really, strong side of me that likes to humanize myself. I grew up in a 900 square foot home with a single mom, mostly, who was a special ed teacher. And so it was always peculiar to me that athletes are put on these pedestals. And I came from, by American terms, relatively nothing. So why, because I kick a soccer ball, am I so special? Right. And so that always occurred to me. And so I like to humanize myself and make people realize that we are just human beings. And that can be in a good way, but that can also be in a difficult way, just like everybody else. So just because you have fame or wealth, or you're a professional athlete, or you're healthy, doesn't mean that you're immune to mental health issues. And I want people to know that all of us deal with this. It's not just those who are in poverty or those who are just got broken up with, or it can affect all of us.
What were some things that surprised you after you sort of came out to talk about the things you were dealing with in your personal life and with mental health? What surprised you about the public reaction or the reaction of your teammates and people in your profession?
I always say to people, if you have not experienced depression or anxiety or things like that, you will never really know what that's like. And so if you haven't experienced it yourself, you can't possibly understand that. And it's hard for people to understand. So I have a very, very close family member who I kind of just laid it out for one day. Was very open, very honest, told them how I was feeling. And then I asked at the end, well, how do you feel about that? What do you think about that? And they said, honestly, Landon, you have your health, you're a professional athlete, you're wealthy, you're famous, you have all these things. I just don't understand why you'd be depressed. And it was kind of like one of those aha moments where you go, okay, well, people just, unless you've dealt with it, you don't really understand. So I think people have trouble understanding it unless it impacts them personally. But hopefully we can get people to a place where they just have some compassion and try to understand that not everybody is happy all the time.
We were talking with Rainn Wilson earlier, who mentioned that mental health destigmatization has come a long way, but we still have a long way to go. What are some things you think we still need to do as human beings and a community to help destigmatize mental health and continue this work?
Well, we need to talk about it, right? And so the more people, so maybe people who follow Rainn Wilson don't follow soccer, and maybe people who follow me don't follow other people. But the more we talk about it and the more we get it out into all walks of life, it's okay. I always say in soccer, it's okay if you tear your ACL or you strain your hamstring to take 2 weeks off or 6 months off or 8 months off. And there's no issues with that. Nobody bats an eye at it. But if you're having mental health issues, it's like, well, just tough it out. You're fine. Quit being a baby. Well, it's the same thing. It's the same thing in a different way, and potentially much more serious. We know how to handle physical issues, but not always mental issues. So we need to talk about it, develop awareness about it, and then ultimately just have compassion and know that not everybody is doing okay all the time, and understand that people might be struggling.
What advice would you give to people watching who are struggling right now?
Reach out. You reach out. You are not alone. There are millions of people across the globe who are feeling the way you're feeling. So reach out. We're all available. The world is smaller than ever with social media. Reach out to somebody you love, or somebody who you listening to today or over the next few days. Reach out and let people know you're not alone, and you can get help, and you can be okay.
Thank you so much, Landon, for your time and your words of wisdom. We really appreciate it.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Thanks.